Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, just like Ben's golf swing, is still this bad after years of development. My name is Nate Heininger,
Wow.
and I am joined, as always, by Ben Samorka.
If that's a reference to putt-putt, that is not a golf swing. That is maybe my approach game is bad.
Let's get to the
putting
other
at
side of the
green work is
music, and
bad.
we can dig into this.
My God.
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. And thank you to Chandler, a new submitter who sent that in, as well as some nice words about us and the show. Thank you so much, Chandler, whoever you are, wherever you are. We appreciate it. And this is like
The core misunderstanding of the sport of golf, I feel like. I know it's a dig, but I would like to argue that my golf swing is probably as good as it's ever been in my life right now. Because I'm a man of leisure, obviously. Now, that being said, you get me on the greens. I'm not really going to sit here and I don't really have a lot of things to
you
say
can tell
about
Ben is
myself
still
there.
just fuming. I imagine he's gone home and he's broken all of his golf clubs, all of this from our little event in Florida.
When I did break a golf club one time when I was playing, I think it was when I was in high school. I played at, I'm sure the St. Louis people remember Palmy Creek. I don't know if Palmy Creek is still there, but I played in a high school tournament every year. It was a league, I guess. And I broke a club.
Like in anger, or
I think
wow.
Yes. I think I snapped it over my knee.
I don't think I've ever felt a feeling that strong. Did it?
Well, that's the difference between you and I. You are like a hollow man that does not get really happy, sad, or angry.
Hollow Man. Guess what?
That's cool.
Bad when it came out. Bad today. But
yeah, it's very sexually aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't need that in my life.
Did you break it, or did you just bend it? Like you bent the metal over your leg, break your leg in half? What broke here?
I am not trying to sound tough or anything like that, but it is shockingly easy to snap a golf club over your knee. Like anybody could do it. Do a baseball bat? Now that's a real
when
man
they do
right
that.
There. That's
my leg breaks. I cannot believe people. Yeah,
that's it.
It's wild.
That's reserved for Bo Jackson. I am telling anybody listening to this call, if you have if you have a golf club in your garage, I guarantee you could snap it over your knee with minimal effort. I was honestly surprised how easily it snapped. I don't know, it was a kid brain. I was probably 16 when it happened. I don't know if that was my intention or not, but it snapped very easily. And I think I just threw it in the garbage and went to the next hole.
I remember I was a skater boy, back in middle school and early high school and whatnot. And I remember like so desperately wanting to snap my board in half, because like that was a sign that you like were really good and had skated a lot and like had worn it, but I was never good. And so I would do stuff like jumping on it and like basically trying to snap it in half to showcase that I was actually good at it. And I failed at snapping my skateboard in half.
Yeah. I buy that. I mean, you probably weighed 120 pounds back then.
If that. I think I graduated high school weighing about 125 pounds. So
I think I weighed 125 pounds in grade school.
Third grade or so. I remember. As tall as he was wide.
Wow.
Hambone, what do you think was more disappointing? Me smoking you in putt-putt, or those hot wings that we got later the day before?
I have to go with the hot wings. I actually got, when I was back home, we went out to bar trivia, and God, we got our asses handed to us. But I ordered hot wings that evening because I felt as though we had been talking about hot wings. We went to a place that had hot wings. They were arguably some of the worst wings I've ever had. The Brass Ring in Jupiter, Florida, arguably some of the worst. I'll call them out.
I didn't think we needed to do that, but hey, I mean, it's true.
No, I will. By the way, great staff. Our waitress was fantastic. The beer was cold. Sure. Everything else was great. The bathrooms were weird.
That was just you, though.
But that's okay.
In there.
Sure. But
They were
arguably
bad.
some of the worst wings I've had. And like I said, I went and ordered wings when I got back home, and it's not like these wings were spectacular, but compared to the Brass Ring in Jupiter, Florida,
Yeah. More like the
not even
brass ring.
close.
These things were hard as hell. They were overcooked by a mile.
Yeah, it was poorly sauced,
Yeah.
overcooked. Um,
Quite
yeah, it was not
disappointing.
great. And we
We
ordered
did.
a lot of them. You know,
Ben
when
and I
you're like,
Ben and I
when you
split
order a
30.
lot,
And it was like our initial
yeah,
salvo. We're like, we'll get this and maybe we'll get more if we
yeah,
and we didn't eat all of them because they weren't very good. And then we did ask for a box and then left the box on the table.
yeah. That was both of those things were my fault. I asked for the box and then forgot the
You know
box.
what we should have done? I mean, we didn't talk about it on last week's episode, but a common runner of apparently every spring training stadium on either side of Florida, brought to you by Hooters. The amount of Hooters,
Yep,
there were airplanes flying by, pulling
airplanes.
Hooters signs. There were representatives at the ballparks. There were like so much stuff was brought to you by Hooters. Not really our vibe, but
That's
everyone says they have good wings, so I guess we should have just gone.
that's
Yeah,
Florida, baby. I think Florida
I
is
think so
brought to you
too.
by Hooters.
Yeah. So anyway, the wings were probably
I'm sure the wings at Hooters would be better than the wings that we got at the Brass Ring in Jupiter,
they
Florida.
have to be a low bar to clear. You know who?
Or they saw us walk in and they're
Uh,
like, "Give them the
yeah,
floor wings.
remember
These
those
guys
ones we
suck."
burnt an hour ago? Dig them out of the
Yeah,
trash, sauce them up a little
yeah.
bit.
That was. It's so unfun when you're excited for a
Uh-huh.
food item. We suck it out. We sought out this restaurant according to a single Reddit thread.
Which again was
The
maybe
wings
a
were
point of
good.
failure there. You know.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's hard to find good journalism on the food
Yeah.
scene in Jupiter, Florida. So I actually blame the listener for not giving us a recommendation.
The listener.
I feel like we asked for
From our one
recommendations
listener.
in and
Yeah.
around Jupiter.
Yeah. Yeah. Come
Yeah.
on, Chandler.
Yeah.
What?
I kind of meant the royal
Okay.
listener,
All
but
We only
whoever, I guess.
Yeah.
All y'all.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on, Hambone. We got ourselves a packed show. Later, we're going to complete our coverage of the NL Central, and we're going to participate in a little game we've played every year. But first, we got to talk about Nelson Velázquez more, right? I mean, what are we doing here, folks? What do we do with this guy? Hambone, can you run through some numbers of currently the star of Cardinal spring training, arguably?
Star. Yeah, Nelson Velázquez is obviously he's putting the hurt on some spring training pitchers down in South Florida this year. He has a WOBA of 486, which is ridiculous. He has a WRC plus of 195, which does lead the club, and he's slugging 727 right now. It is, of course, extremely important to note that he has had 39 plate appearances. This is a very short time. This is 2 weeks of games, really. It is 12 games that he's played. But I guess I want to talk about I think the conversation has been in the Cardinals media sphere about obviously this guy is going to make the team. And I don't think I necessarily disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think that it's fine. And we've kind of gone back, or I guess I've kind of gone back and forth on the import of bringing in a right-handed hitter. This is the Cardinals this is their Austin Hayes or Miguel Andujar or whoever. And he is showing progression. There's some evidence that he may be more selective than he was in the past. Last year in AAA with Pittsburgh and Kansas City, he ran a walk rate of about 10%, which was about double what it was previously. He's running a current walk rate of about 15%. So I do think that I think that this guy has legit power. He has legit bat speed. In the past, he has not shown an ability to be selective at all. at the plate, maybe make a little too much contact, a little too much swing in general. But there is no doubt that he has power. And I guess where I'm rounding this out, Nate, is that like I am happy to see a Cardinal succeeding in spring training who we didn't necessarily think was going to be
Yeah.
a guy that we were even going to talk about much this season. That's inherently exciting. But he's not a good outfielder. DH is covered.
Yeah, like 3 times over, arguably.
Do so like yeah, Nelson Velázquez should probably be on the team. He's a bad outfielder. You know, he's on par with Jordan Walker, maybe worse because he's just less athletic.
Yeah.
What do we do with this guy? Do I care? Is really where I'm saying, like, do I care about Nelson Velázquez? The only thing that I'll point to in his favor is he's only 27, and he has basically a little over 1 year of service time accrued. So he could, you know, if let's say he does doink 30 bombs this year, he could be a Cardinal for a while.
There are many examples around the league of guys not really developing their true game power and their final approach until their mid to late 20s. It happens. There's of course I can't think of a single example right now, but it happens, you know. I mean,
the guy for the Blue Jays, Nate. The guy for the Blue Jays.
Santander.
Big bat flip.
Oh, Bautista.
No.
Jose Bautista. Yeah.
Bautista. There you go. Jose Bautista was nobody and then came on the scene when he was like 28.
Yeah. So there's examples. And
That's a guy.
like the Cardinals right now are in this spot where we should be chasing any and every glimpse of upside, right? Frankly, the offense right now, to me, like in a long-term standpoint, is almost more worrying than the pitching. They've done so much work to stock the farm with potential pitchers that I feel like we have no idea what it's going to look like. But I feel like the future Cardinal pitching staff is mostly in-house at this point. Like, we have the bodies, they just need to develop, and we'll figure out which ones fit and which ones don't. The offense and the starting lineup, there's certainly a few people that we feel are locked in and will be here for a long time. But outside of your Mason Wins and hopefully your JJs and probably Yvonne, kind of every single other spot is wide open right now. And so if you've got a guy that is raking, I don't see why you don't run it down and see. Now, is he your long-term left fielder? I don't think the Cardinals really want to build themselves as a team that has poor defense in the outfield. But what team does? You know, you chase what you have. And so I think if he can hit, put him in left and we'll see what happens. If he hits at the major league level consistently, the position we'll find a spot for him long term. Everything's wide open. But why not? You know, and he is 27. If he comes up and he's rough for a couple months, well, at least we know. You know, move him on and keep the taxi moving. You know,
I do think it is so funny because like everyone will always say spring training numbers mean nothing. Yet teams base competition and roster decisions on spring training performance.
Spring training doesn't matter, but Velázquez is going to get a major league starting position over like Sajasi, or we'll get to it, but like, you know, he's going to take a job from someone.
Yes.
Because he had a really good 50 PAs basically.
And that's the thing that I'm kind of like, I'm losing my shit over here is that we have 194 games played at the MLB level where he is rocking a 98 WRC plus, and over those 194 games, he's accrued .64. Like I said, he's not a good defender. He's not really a great base runner, and he's been a fine hitter with some flashes of power. So it's kind of funny to me that like spring training numbers don't matter. However, everyone and their brother are getting excited about Nelson Velázquez.
Well, we are starved for excitement. So there's even our guys that like he's having the best spring by a lot. JJ's doing well. after that, there's really not a lot to point to on the offensive side of people that are doing well. We are going to talk about another guy here in a moment. And shout out to Nolan Gorman, who actually is putting together a pretty good spring. But ultimately, no one has been as exciting as Velázquez. So it's just like, well, I want to be hyped about something. So why not be hyped about it, you know?
And so on balance, I agree with you. I think that is probably the right take. But where I'm feeling today, as we're recording this episode, is that JC is back in camp. Jose Fermin has had more success at the minor league level than Nelson Velázquez. There are other guys, like maybe just straight up Nathan Church should be taking at bats away from Nelson Velázquez because he's having a good little spring right now too, and I think that his ceiling is much higher. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has turned a corner. Maybe he's made a change. Maybe he is going to be a slugger this year, and that would be a ton of fun. But in this moment, I do feel like we're overvaluing a small amount of plate appearances against not that great of pitching, especially with the WBC going on this year. So the spring trade, like just the average level of a spring training pitcher is down, I don't know, 3-4 ticks of what it normally is.
Everyone
because
good
of all those
is,
good pitchers who are
yeah, totally. And so you're saying that, like, I think while I agree with you that I'm right, like, why not chase it? I will circle back to say I agree with you that the most likely thing, though, is that he's not actually this guy.
Yeah.
You know, my point is why not run it down and see? But like, I think it's very, very likely that he's around a 98 WRC plus hitter at the major league level, which honestly would have put him in like top 4 on the team last year. But that's a different story.
Absolutely.
But why not? And we know, if it doesn't work, cut him and go back to some of these other guys. But if he did make that power jump at his age 27, the flip side to your argument of like, if he had a league average WRC plus for a full year, like that is an accomplishment for a rookie, basically. And so you could argue he proved he could hit at MLB level, and then now he's taken a step forward, and maybe he's a 110 WRC plus or 115 or something like that. Not all-star, but certainly better than average. Like, we could certainly use that.
I think that if he can keep growing and not embarrass himself on defense, we would take a 110 WRC plus for the next 2 years easy. Whether or not he's a long-term solution, will that remains to be seen. But this guy costs nothing. You have a ton of control. The only thing you don't have with Nelson Velázquez is that he is out of options. So he's either on the big league roster or potentially leaving the org. So I think when all of those things are added up, and the fact that like, geez, I mean, how long is Jordan Walker going to get major league at bats if it keeps going the way that I kind of feel like it's going to go? When is Newt coming back? How often can you rely on Church and Fermin and Sajaci or whoever else to kind of patrol the outfield? So I'm not totally against it, and maybe I'm like raining on the parade a little bit, but I just think it was sober up on Nelson Velázquez. I'd love it to go off though.
Of course.
I'm rooting for
we
it
always are.
to work
we always
out.
Are. I just wish you'd stop shitting all over his really great 39 plate appearances. Like, come on, what have you done?
Also, like, are we calling him Nelly? Does he go by Nelly? Is Nelly going to be his walk-up song when he comes up?
Was it?
We were talking about this in spring training.
Gorman,
I think it was Gorman. I think it was Gorman that was using a Nelly song. I am so shocked that
it's just all Nelly.
Cardinals
Everyone is
just
just
playing
doing
Nelly
on here over and over.
Is it Nelly, and then is it Story of the Year? Are they from St. Louis? Who's the other?
Yes, they are. They're a band that formed as a different band in St. Louis and then moved to California and started Story of the Year. So St. Louis people like to claim ownership of that, even though
All right, what about
Chingy?
All right, Nate, if I was a major league ball player, Chingy. Ooh, I actually love that song. That's a good song. I think I would do Scott Joplin's what was
The
it?
Entertainer
Ragtime.
or yeah.
Da da da
Yeah,
da
that's
da
the
da da
entertainer.
da
Yeah.
da 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 da. Yeah, I think I'd be rocking
Uh-huh.
Scotty
Uh-huh.
Jobs. Get the home crowd
I'll
folks
just have
going.
everyone just throws waffle cones everywhere as I come walking up. We'll get another St. Louis World's Fair ref in there.
I was gonna. Who else? Who else is from St. Louis? It's a popular
Well, right now,
musician.
City, one of their away jerseys is a Tina Turner celebration, basically. Now, she's
That's
not
funny.
technically like born in St. Louis, but she spent a lot of her time in St. Louis. So, yeah, they have these away jerseys that have been accused of being piss colored. They're supposed to be gold,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
they're kind of yellow. But I actually think they're pretty good, but they're Tina Turner focused away jerseys, which is pretty funny.
That is
Yeah.
odd. All right, I'm looking. I forgot Michael McDonald. Doobie Brothers, that would be
Yeah.
a great walk up song.
What a Fool Believes.
Obviously, we talked about Scott Joplin. Oh yeah, SZA,
Sure.
Smino, Metro Boomin. Metro Boomin's probably the most famous contemporary person. So, all right, there should be more. I'm surprised there's not more of that. There's some. Good
I
people
don't
to
know
pick
how
from.
much even people in St. Louis. I don't know. I've been out of the game. I don't want to speak for St. Louis too much, but I don't see a lot of St. Louis recognition of Metro Boomin. You know what I mean? He has like he has. I know
They should.
huge.
He's the most famous person right now.
He did like he
wears
DJ'd
Cardinals
like
hats.
a city block party thing a little while ago, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's cool. And
wow.
What about Johnny Johnson? Remember Johnny Johnson?
We all love that guy. Him and his fiddle and three dogs. I don't know.
Wait,
no, I
do
made
you know
all
who
of
that is? I was. Oh wow, I bought it for a second there.
This sounds like a guy who would have a fiddle and three dogs.
Oh, Chuck Berry. What are we doing?
Yeah, looking through.
Okay.
Looking through.
All right, I'm done listing St. Louis musicians.
Bathrooms.
Well, now that he's dead, it's okay, right?
Whomst amongst us? You know what I mean?
Well, he cannot financially benefit from us listening to him anymore. So I feel like that's the line of demarcation. It's okay.
Line.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Nootbaar. Let's talk about Nootbaar.
All right. He actually announced this himself, but I'm going to paraphrase something that Derek Gould reported. Gould on Nootbaar earlier this week. The Cardinals have not yet officially said outfielder Lars Nootbaar will open the season on the injured list, but he's yet to begin running on the field, and there's no schedule set for him to appear in a game before the team leaves Florida. Gould reported on Tuesday, that is the day before we are talking right now. Nootbaar is recovering from bilateral heel surgeries, as we know, and the Cardinals' actions have been to prepare for someone else to be in left field for them as they open the season. And I think it's fair to assume the person we were just talking about, Nelson Velázquez, is going to be your left fielder. I can't really think of a scenario that would stop that from happening. But that's the direction we're going. And, it's a huge bummer because, when we were learning about Herman's deformity or whatever, what's deformity? It called? Hoglin's deformity. Obviously, I was worried because it sounds terrifying. It's something that comes out of Dr. Frankenstein's lab or something like that. But, like hearing about this and hearing that basically he has been unhealthy for the past couple of years. And I think that we've already, we've always kind of thought, we've talked about all the underlying numbers suggest that Lars Nootbaar is probably going to be a good player. He's a StatCast darling, or at least a player, a StatCast darling. Getting him fully healthy with legs underneath him, I was really excited. And now I'm not worried that this season is like going to have a failure to launch or anything like that, but it does muddy up the waters and put everything into question. And anytime a guy doesn't get to have a spring training and then he gets left at the facility and he kind of limps his way back into the big leagues, like I just don't like that. And I don't know what it means for him in 2026. And I mean, I guess selfishly or more coldly, like seems like a slam dunk guy to move at the deadline if the Cardinals are blown out of the water. It's a lot of teams that could use a player like him. Will he be able to establish himself? Will he be able to get healthy and on track and and banging by any time this summer. I don't know at this
Yeah.
point.
I mean, I think the ideal situation here is that he basically spends April rehabbing and either playing down at the facility or perhaps on one of the minor league teams, and is basically just playing on a team for a repeated amount of time that isn't the MLB team. So he can completely basically have like a spring and a rehab and gear up. And then once everyone's feeling really confident, you bring him up. Hopefully, maybe that's May, maybe it's late May, and then you get a month or two of them. And then, yeah, maybe he is a big time trade candidate. I think that would be the ideal. But I assume that there's going to be zero rush on this whole thing. I mean, both feet recovering. Why rush it? There's really no need. So I don't know. I'm feeling the same way. Like, I'm kind of just assuming we don't have Nootbaar until we do,
Yeah.
which is a bummer.
That
I
damn
know.
deformity. It is. It's like
Does he look
what's
like
going to
me?
and I what I think is going to happen is that he's going to get traded, never having really had the opportunity to be fully healthy for an extended period of time, because obviously we learned he wasn't healthy last year, even though he got a ton of ABs in a Cardinals uniform. And we're just not going to be able to cheer for the best version of Lars Nootbaar, which I still do think it's a guy that's rocking a near 400 OBP and lacing the ball all over the field and playing fine enough defense. And that's going to be a bummer.
He is young enough that this could still all happen for him at the major league level. Just will it be with the Cardinals? It's an open question. But I suspect that they all still want to chase the upside of Lars Nootbaar. And I'm sure there is a hope that this, albeit a slow recovery, is a necessary one, and maybe what was holding him back and the key to unlocking him is now he will actually be healthy. And when we do finally get Nootbaar back, it's the Nootbaar that we all hoped for. I'd be very surprised if the Cardinals trade him without getting a good run of him as healthy. But how much control do they have left? Probably 2 years.
He is at 4 years of service time, and he's a free agent after 2028.
Okay, so you'd still get 2 more years of him. Like, even if 2026 is pretty rough, you could still argue that it's worth to keep him around to see if maybe 2027, because that's the window is hopefully 27 and 28, and Nootbaar, what we believe Nootbaar to be, will fit on any sort of competing team. So I don't know. I guess it would depend on what these next 3 months look like and what sort of offers are out there on the table if they could actually trade him. But there's no one right now at all that is a guaranteed outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. So it seems like you'd want to hold on to him and see if healthy Newt is one of those guys.
Yeah, the outfield situation over the past handful of years has not been great.
Well,
like, remember when we were excited about Tommy Pham joining the club?
Remember that grand slam he had last year? Yeah.
Yes. I will never forget that.
The
That
revenge
was a
tour
blast.
continues.
So much fun.
Has he been signed? Is he on Cincy? He got signed again. He said he wants to play till he's like 45 or something like that. So I think he's gonna.
Looking it up right now. Currently a free agent. This is a crime.
Come on, bring our boy back.
Yeah, would you rather have him or Nelson Velázquez getting reps in the outfield?
Two very different purposes.
Yeah.
Come on, someone give Tommy a job. He's a great clubhouse guy. Everyone loves being around Tommy Pham. Definitely not problematic in any sort of way, and is a glue guy. Definitely not the opposite. We know this about him.
He's a glue guy. Nobody can argue that.
We love a Tommy Pham.
And he's got broken eyes. It's all the things you want in a player.
Human 2.0. All right. Speaking of outfielders that are maybe good, well, we meet on Sundays, Hambone. Can I welcome you?
You're skipping over the news that
Oh,
just
what news
dropped
that
today,
just dropped
Nathan.
today? I'm so sorry. Please get us back on track.
The Cardinals, the Cardinals are
Oh,
featuring
sure.
5 rookies in the Spring Breakout exhibition games, which start the day that this episode comes out. JJ Wetherholt, Liam Doyle, Raniel Rodriguez, Joshua Baez, and Leo Bernal
Yeah.
are all going to be featured in those games. They and the Dodgers both have 5 players. The Mariners are the only team with more players in these exhibition games, but I think that that's
What a
pretty
fun
exciting.
group, right? Like when you dream of the future of the Cardinals. I mean, I know they're basically just pulling like almost the top 5 prospects in the Cardinal organization, basically, but like
Sure.
JJ Wetherholt, Liam Doyle, Rynel, Josh Baez, and Leo Bernal, like it's a very fun group, a group with a lot of different skill sets. And I think we all expect every one of these guys is going to be on the major league roster in the next 2 years. Now, what they all turn out to be, we'll see. But I think it's we've been talking about it, it's not right now. Is it necessarily the most fun to be a Cardinal fan as far as the day-to-day games? But the long-term future for the Cardinals right now is as fun as it's been in a very long time.
Yeah, and I think I am very excited to see what Rodriguez
Yeah.
does in these opportunities because he is so much younger than, well, at least the other Cardinals, and I would imagine most rest
Yeah.
of the field that is going to be playing in these games. So seeing a 19-year-old go up against these more advanced players, I think will be very
He
exciting. So yeah, looking forward to that, forward to his
he's
performance, everything.
on, like, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but he's on like top prospect in baseball trajectory. You know what I mean? Like his age,
Right.
his body, what he does is what, if he keeps doing it, which is a huge if, there's a lot of work in between now and then. But the age that he's done it at, the skill set that he's bringing is the type of thing that flies up prospect rankings. I mean, it's why he already is flying up prospect rankings. And if he can continue doing what he did last year, this year at a new level, like I really think we will see him in top 10 lists and even like top 5. There's some big guys ahead of him, of course. But as people graduate and if he hopefully keeps raking, I think he will be the next like top Cardinal prospect.
Yeah, if he maintains the
Yeah.
power while staying behind the
Yeah.
dish, it's gonna that's really easy to sell. And people like his defense too. It's a lot. There's a lot to like. So I'm excited for that. Like I think I also said this a couple of episodes ago. I'm really excited. I think that Bernal has maybe a little more hitterish tendencies. I'm kind of curious to see what these guys all
Yeah.
do. Also, get my eyes on Liam Doyle a little bit more. It's going to be exciting. Obviously, we'll see JJ in the big leagues. We'll watch a ton of him later this year. But yeah,
Yeah.
excited to see these guys playing those exhibition
Yeah.
games.
It's when did they start doing this? It's one of the more fun pieces of spring.
Like 2 years ago
Yeah.
feels about right, but I'm kind of making that up.
Yeah, it's kind of like this the spring version of like the AFL, right? Spring training kind of is winding down. And you see all your top prospects come together to play a bunch of games. And the AFL is the season is ended, but a bunch of the top prospects all come together to play a few games. I think it's fun. I think this is one of the things that MLB has been getting better at is promoting the young guys. I think more than ever, and this has been a continuing trend, but more than ever does the average baseball fan have a general understanding of who some of the future young stars might be. And I think that's good.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think from a Cardinals fan perspective, this is important for us.
Because
This is
this is
all we
all I
got going right
have.
now.
All right. All right. Can
So
we
yeah,
can we get back to the important work here and
please take us
well,
to church, Nate.
that's what I was getting at. We meet on Sundays at Hambone. I know you've been frankly you've been a preacher of it. Can you tell us a little bit about Nathan Church?
Yeah, Nathan Church is 5th by WRC Plus in the Cardinals spring training right now. He has 37 plate appearances. He has a 127 WRC plus. The only people above him are JJ Nolan, who is, well, I think Nate mentioned this earlier, really putting together a much stronger back
Yeah.
half of spring. Alec Burleson, and then of course Nelson Velázquez. But he is performing well. I think like when you take into account the way that he performed across AA and AAA last year, which he had a 144 WRC plus in 86 games across both levels. The fact that he obviously stumbled when he came up to the bigs last year, that cup of coffee, but that has come to the spring hitting fairly well. I don't think that Nathan Church is going to be an all-star, or I don't know what his ceiling is, but I do think that we should be encouraged by the fact that a guy that can really go out there and get it
Yeah.
defensively, has a nice arm. All he's really done is hit for the past year and a half.
It's a compelling argument. We all really want Victor Scott to be the starting center fielder for a lot of reasons. But like on balance, it's hard to pick him over Nathan Church. I think the argument would maybe be here. Velázquez is not your left fielder. It should just be Nathan Church. Or Jordan Walker is not your right fielder. It should be Nathan Church. I think we don't need to spend any time on the right field side. The decision's been made. It is what it is. We've talked a lot about it. But left field is seemingly open. But to me, that almost feels like a waste of Nathan Church's strong defense, putting him in at left field. So I don't know. I'm starting to feel like, should we break camp with Church as the starting center fielder and Scott is the opening day fourth outfielder, and we'll see how it breaks down?
I mean, I think the more obvious move is that Jordan Walker should not be taking at bats.
That's what I was just saying, though. I don't think that is realistically on the table, or at least maybe we have just certainly it would seem like that would make the most sense to most people. But everything that we've heard so far is that Jordan Walker is the starting right fielder. So until told otherwise, I don't know that it's worth it to break down anymore why that is the case,
Well, it does. I just have to say it because it pains me not to say it. If we're taking into account our spring training numbers, Jordan Walker does have a 7.
I know it's rough.
WRC
He's looked
plus.
He's looked bad. We got it. Someone submitted a good opening bit referencing Jordan Walker's swing, and I want to get to it. We've actually had a bunch of people submitting, which has been a lot of fun. So thank you, everyone. But it means I do leave. We don't get to all of them. But yeah, Jordan Walker is. This is the one where you go, well, spring doesn't really matter, right? It's only 39 plate appearances. Like, come on, give him a break.
I do wish that we could get truth serum from the team and like their internal analytics to understand, like, are they seeing something that is making them less worried than what I'm seeing? Like, is the bat path looking better? Like, are there some hidden exit velo numbers? Are they have a hip tracking apparatus?
You haven't seen him with that
big
ass belt on that is.
I don't know what to think, but it's worrisome.
But back to this point, like, I do think Nathan Church has played himself between his MLB time last year and his spring this year. Like, what more do we want to see from him? And I guess like the counter argument is that maybe what we're seeing is like the best version of Nathan Church, and we want to continue to chase the upside of Victor Scott and chase the upside of Jordan Walker and see what we've got in Velázquez, and we kind of know what we've got in Church. So like, he's the fourth outfielder, but he may end up being a starter, but just not yet. Like, I guess that's maybe the counter argument here. But I don't know. He's been good at the major league level, so maybe he's just one of our guys.
I think the fact that we are having like a conversation in and around the idea of like, how are the Cardinals going to get all these good players plate appearances? Like, I kind of didn't expect to have that. So the fact that like, and maybe it's not a problem of too many good players because again, Jordan
It's
Walker is
too
one of
many
those, and
players
Lars
we
Nootbaar is hurt. But we
think
do.
could be good. It's not a problem of too many good players.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. But at least there's optimism in the way that sentence is
There's a very
constructed,
real
you know what I'm saying?
possibility
Like,
that we hit
good.
June and the outfield has an average WRC plus of like 73. You know what I mean? Between Walker,
Sure.
Scott, and whoever is in left field, like it's a potential real problem.
Okay, if you had to place a small wager on who is going to have the highest WRC plus in the Cardinals outfield for the year 2026, and let's just on bat, who do you think it's going to be?
Josh Baez.
Josh Baez, yeah, I think that's a good bet.
I mean, it's slim pickings, you know. Like it's basically who do you think is going to actually have a breakout, right? So if I'm gambling between Baez, Scott, and Walker, I think I go the Baez crushes in the minors and gets called up in August or whatever, and has a better WRC plus in his cup of coffee. But otherwise, it might be Nathan Church is your safest bet, you know.
It's kind of where I'm leaning.
And he plays good defense.
Maybe Nathan Church. WAR, I feel more comfortable with Nathan Church than just straight up WRC plus because we know he's going to bring some good defensive value.
I hope it's Victor Scott because he has the combo of.
I mean,
it would be so much fun.
I hope it's Jordan Walker.
Yeah.
But that's, whatever.
Okay. Well, let's move to the other side of the ball here, Hambone, and talk about some of the pitching. We're really getting some clarity on what this starting rotation is going to look like, I think, with a few decisions that have just been made and some of the performances. But you made a little list here of some of the hot topics. So you want to run through it for us real quick?
Yeah, and I guess speaking of decisions being made, we just learned that right before we hopped on, Matthew Liberatore has been named the opening day starter. I think that makes sense. I think that is fun. But I wanted to talk about Dustin May for a second. Dustin May has another strong start. He faced the Nats. He went 5 innings, 1 walk, 3 Ks, and the stuff looked electric. The fastball hit 100 miles per hour, is 99.6 miles per hour. I'm calling it 100 miles per hour. Wow. The velo on all of his pitches has increased every start. And I think he added almost 2 miles per hour on his fastball this start, which is just crazy.
Is that good?
So
I think that's good.
I mean, it's pretty good. He's looking healthy. This is as hard as he's thrown since he came up, really. We'll see if he can carry it through the big leagues, but through the rest of the season. The fact that he's throwing that sinker that hard and that he has a sweeper that also looks pretty devastating right now, I am feeling pretty high on what Dustin May might bring to the Cardinals in 2026, assuming, hopefully he can get lucky with some health and things can roll his way. But everything we're seeing is looking good, and it's progressing exactly like how you'd want to see a starter like this progress in spring.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think we were all pretty hyped, cautiously hyped on the Dustin May signing for a lot of reasons. But it was always a high risk, low risk, high reward sort of thing. With
the money is not a lot, which makes it all.
That's why I didn't want to say high risk because it's not really a risk to anything at all. So I'd say it was, but the range of outcomes is wild from like not throwing a pitch for the Cardinals this year to ace level production, right? Every single thing in between that is on the table. And you certainly seems like he's trending you never want to throw ace. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be that good, but it seems right now spring is telling us he's going to be closer on the side of healthy and productive versus anything else, which is great.
I was trying to look for something like a spin rate decrease, a movement decrease, anything, and everything is looking really good under the hood. And like, let's remember, he's one of the most highly regarded prospects in
Yeah,
baseball.
the pedigree's there. I mean, this
6 years ago, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Many thought he was going to be the best pitcher in baseball at one point. So, like, it's there. There's a reason, there's hype, and there's a reason he got $12 million, having not really done much yet at the major league level, or at least with any consistency.
Must be
Yeah.
nice, right?
It's basically paid for upside, I'm assuming there were other
Yeah.
people in on him, and the Cardinals had to outbid them for him. I don't know, but I'm assuming. So it's good. We were watching him warm up at spring training, and we were talking about, like, it still seems like best case scenario is that he's incredible and the Cardinals trade him at the deadline for hopefully a massive return, because he's on a 1-year deal with a mutual option, which I just cannot think of a situation that results in both sides taking the mutual option. But it's also kind of fun to dream on, like, all right, let's say we get a true Dustin May breakout. He loves it. The Cardinals actually are better because of it. You can see the future of success in St. Louis in 2027. And Dustin May says, I would actually like to stick around. What can I get on a 3 to 4 year deal or something like that? Or I guess with how baseball is going right now, he's going to want $120 million 3-year contract with opt outs after every year or whatever it is. Like, what does it
Sure.
actually look
Yeah.
like to keep Dustin May and actually say, great, you're actually just a part of this core. You are a part of this future rotation.
I do think that is the actual best case
Yeah.
scenario for this Dustin May thing to go is that the Cardinals actually retain him and he becomes a part of the team.
We also got some news about Dick Fitz, which is again revealing about the opening day rotation. Ben, you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed about this one because I'm pretty high on everything that we've seen from him since he's become a Cardinal. But Dick Fitz he's been optioned down to AAA Memphis. And that came right after a start in which he kind of bounced back from his previous start. He went 4 2/3 innings against the Nats, tallied 11 swing and misses. The fastball velo was again super duper high, like sitting 97, 98. So, I think it makes sense because of the next guy that we're going to talk about. Kyle Leahy has had a decent spring. Michael McGreevy has had a decent spring. Obviously, Liberatore and May are not moving anywhere. And I think it just comes down to options. And I assume that the Cardinals believe that they have some they have a developmental plan that they'd like Richard Fitz to kind of key into. So I think in many ways it does make sense to move him down to AAA. But just based on the ceiling that I perceive and the what he looks like and the velo and just some of the things, I was kind of pulling for him to squeeze into one of those spots.
Yeah.
Or the Cardinals go with a 6-man rotation, which I've been, not banging the drum for, but I don't think is the worst idea.
Yes, I'm a little disappointed as well. I guess I'm going to trust the Bloom and Goons here that this makes sense from a developmental standpoint. I think it's kind of what you were just saying is that, like, we almost need an answer faster on Leahy, Pallante, even May. Some of these guys that are in the rotation right now, we'd much rather just get an answer on them and make a decision and move on. Does Kyle Leahy actually make sense as an MLB starter? We think Fitz does, but we have more time, more control. So why not throw Leahy out there and hopefully get an answer in the first couple of months? Is Pallante better than he's been? Let's get that answer. I think both of us were not particularly hyped on him as a member of the starting rotation, but it is what it is, right? He also doesn't deserve to be not at the MLB level. So I don't know. I'm always torn on Pallante, which I guess is maybe a good transition into some information about Pallante. if you
Sure.
want to, if you,
Pallante
yeah.
Spring moves along after making his third start in a row against the Marlins. What we can say is, at least in this spring, Pallante has reworked his pitch usage. So he's throwing his slider about 33% of the time so far. His sinker has bumped up to his second most used pitch, and he has brought his four seam down to 20%. Which is good news, Nathan,
Yeah.
because his slider held hitters to an 87 WRC plus last year. His
Okay.
sinker allowed a 119
Oh,
WRC plus, and his four seam somehow allowed a 156 WRC plus against major league batters last season. Nate, that is so bad that I think I would argue just to throw that pitch away. And I think
yeah.
that it is inherent. It's a good thing that Pallante is making an adjustment and he's leaning into throwing his best pitch or his better pitches more often. But the fact that his fastball is that garbage
Yeah.
is hard for me to imagine him being a major league starter. Now, that being said, I do think that there is a good reliever in here. If this guy
Yeah.
is pumping slider, curveball, sinker, and throws away that four seam, I think you have a late inning reliever here, at least potentially. But those numbers don't inspire confidence
Well, that was the take on
at
him
all.
last year. Remember, it's like he has 6 different pitches, none of them are good. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with him. I guess it makes sense, maybe if he's having a good spring, to say, all right, buddy, you got one more look in the rotation, that you've got to come in with some new pitches, some more clarity about what you're trying to accomplish when you're up there. And there's no doubt that you can spin the ball, but you got to stop delivering a
Well,
157 WRC plus on your fastball.
I don't know the answer, but that has to be one of the worst in baseball.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll look that up while we're talking. But the reason why he's still in the conversation, and like the reason why Richard Fitz is going down and Pallante is sticking around, is because over 14 innings in spring, he is still doing that Pallante thing. And by that I mean he is not giving up homers, because that guy does not give up homers
Yeah.
at all. He's got a great ground ball rate, and his ERA is 2.57, while his xFIP is 4.85. And, maybe that'll keep going. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll get worse.
That's
But
a
right
huge,
now, the
most
surface
guys
level
can't.
stats look fine.
Yeah, surface level. Rarely, like there are guys who can sustain underlying stats that are either better or worse than what their surface level stats are for an extended amount of period. You don't normally see it that big of a difference, though, between a nearly 2.5 runs from an ERA standpoint in between ERA and xFIP. So that would indicate that he's gotten a little lucky in his incredibly small sample size that is spring. But I guess run him out there again. I don't know. I'm torn on Pallante. I like the idea of him as a reliever.
I think this is like, I think this is the thing of like the Cardinals. I'm sure the Cardinals know exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
And getting Pallante to become a reliever, there's probably like 4 or 5 conversations that need to happen. And maybe they're in conversation 1 or 2 right now. First conversation is, all right, Andre, your fastball stinks. We got to throw that slider more. And then maybe, the conversation in a month or 2 is, we really think your breaking ball stuff is great, and we think it's going to play up in the pin. And they slowly, because it's kind of hard to, especially when no one's, I guess, necessarily beating on the door. I don't know. It comes down to people management, but that's maybe I'm being too polite, but maybe there's something like that happening.
Yeah, I think it's just simply there isn't a huger. That's a good word. Huge rush for any of this. So why not let everybody take their time, let everybody develop, let Fitz get super comfortable here and showcase some of it at AAA, and then there will inevitably be a spot for him.
I agree, I think, but I also kind of have the feeling that like a scarce commodity is big league starts for this group of starting pitchers.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. There is no rush, but you only get so many games to start. You only have so many opportunities to hand out to other guys. And I'm kind of like, I feel like we have enough information on Pallante
Yeah, I do
to
too.
move off, but we're
Yeah.
not doing that.
Trust the process, Hambone.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I think let's move on. I guess we could touch on George Soriano looking pretty good. But we'll dig into more of that next week as we have our opening day episode. Hambone is next week.
Wow.
And we're gonna have
Wow.
C70 with us, which is always a delight.
We love it.
So we're gonna talk about the Cubs and some other league news here in a moment. But before we do, we want to remind our listeners that this show is, of course, listener supported on patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds, where you can find all of our different tiers and all the different things that we're throwing out there for subscribers. But anyone who subscribes at any level gets access to our private Discord server. It's the Bird Scored. We talk about it a lot on the show at this point. But it's essentially a private chat network of listeners and ourselves and some other people in the Cardinal baseball blogger and podcaster sphere are in there. It's a really good place to talk to other Cardinal fans and not have to deal with sort of the empty void annoyance of what modern social media is. Just talk to other real humans who enjoy the Cardinals like we do. You can join that again at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. We also appreciate anyone who takes a moment to leave a review in their favorite podcast platform. It really does help. And of course, tell your friends, tell your family. Now's a great time to get on board as the season is about to start. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
Yeah, you can find us on all the socials. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. We got a TikTok. Come check us out on TikTok, please. I beg you. You can find all the podcast information at talkingaboutbirds.com. We have shirts available, all kinds of shit over there. If you prefer to watch this show, you can watch it on YouTube. We're on YouTube. You can look at us right now. We're looking at you, looking at us. What is up?
You see me seeing you?
You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
848-48-BIRDS. All right, Hambone. We've been covering every other team in the NL Central as we ramp up to the start of the season. The Fangraphs has projected the Cubs to win the NL Central. How are you feeling about the 2026 Chicago Cubs?
Well, I think they're pretty good, Nate. And they made some moves this season that I think, at least for the short term, are going to be very good for the Cubbies. I think probably the biggest, most headline gathering news is that they brought in Alex Bregman on big money to be their third baseman now and for the next handful of years. They also made a rather impactful trade with the Marlins to bring Edward Cabrera. Outside of that, I think this team is going to look a lot like what we saw last year. Maybe the other only notable thing is that Seiya Suzuki, his status is kind of up in the air from that injury he sustained in the WBC, sliding hard into second base. It's not like he'll be out all year, but he's definitely going to start his season, not the right, not healthy at least. I think that this team is still kind of weird. I think that bringing in Bregman and Edward Cabrera, they've kind of been like in the Jed Hoyer era, they've been what I view kind of solely focused on run suppression. And I think that has worked out decently well. Their rotation is good, not great. Their defense is great. And I think they kind of build their team in that fashion. And I think so far so good.
Yeah.
I guess that's my like 30,000 foot view of the Cubbies this year.
Yeah, I think they're probably projected to win the Central on account of having probably the highest floor of the NL Central.
Sure.
I don't know if that's exactly right, but like I feel like the Reds we know are boomer bust likely. Pirates made some good additions, but it's really centered on if that pitching is as good as we hope it will be, and that's always a gamble. Gambling on any starting rotation. And then there's the Cardinals, obviously. So having the Brewers are what they are, but their starting rotation, I think, is a bigger question than it has been in years past. But the Cubs are kind of they're kind of like how the Cardinals were back in the day, where they don't really have like Bregman is a star, but he's not like an MVP level star.
Yep.
But they're kind of just good everywhere, and they have some depth. Bringing in Matt Bregman pushed Matt Shaw into a super utility role, and so if someone gets hurt, they are just going to have Matt Shaw ready for that. They have some interesting pitchers that are near MLB ready at AAA, like Jackson Wiggins. So I think they're built for a full season. There's certainly some
Yeah.
question marks there on just how good they will be, because this could also be an 86 win team, and that might be enough for the NL Central. But I think it's very
Yeah.
unlikely.
That's a good point.
I think it's very unlikely that this team bottoms out. Like of all the teams in the NL Central, you can pretty easily project like a 70 win outcome. But I think the Cubs, probably if you ran this a million times, which is what these projections are, they just don't fuck it up the most out of all the other teams. And like,
Yeah. I think,
yeah,
yeah, looking at their numbers from last year, they had the lowest whip in all of MLB. They were number one in baseball. They had the lowest pitcher walks in MLB. And in defensive WAR, DRS, they were second in baseball. This is what they do. They
yeah,
don't make mistakes on both sides of the ball. And I think like when you break down their lineup, Nate, it's funny. There's no great player.
yeah,
Maybe PCA has the potential to be a great player, but just to go down them really quick, Michael Bush is a very good first baseman, not a great one. Alex Bregman, very good, not great third baseman. Ian Happ, we know all about him. Seiya Suzuki has legit power, maybe could be great. PCA, Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson. That's their first seven. All seven of those guys are guys that can make an all-star team, that can be top 5 player at their position in baseball. They all have that potential. And then their DH, their projected DH for the season is Moises Ballesteros, who could be a total thumper. I think he's kind of an
yeah.
X factor for the Cubbies coming into this season. And then their projected catcher is Carson Kelly. We know all about Carson Kelly. He kind of had a weird season last year, but it's just all 7 in a row good players.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these guys all could be 2 WAR, they could all be 5 WAR. Probably not more than that for any of them, but there's an outcome here where 6 of these guys are 4 to 5 WAR, and you end up having a really, really good team. So I think it's fair that they are picked to win the Central for that. But I also think on a game per game basis, these guys are going to be beatable also, So
Sure.
we'll see how it goes.
Also, I think worth calling out, Matt Boyd is probably going to be their number 1 starter, which
Yeah.
he does not inspire a ton of confidence for me, even though he had a fine year last year. Daniel Palencia, who, if you watched the WBC earlier this week, had a couple of amazing performances. He's going to be their closer, a kid that kind of came out of nowhere. And who's supposed to be their setup man right now is Phil Maton, was brought in as a free agent.
Probably
so
a good grab. Yeah. You know who else is sitting there?
There
on
is
the
a
bench?
funny Cardinals stripe. Yeah.
Yeah, who's on the bench is our good buddy Dylan Carlson. So that'll be interesting.
Phil Maton, Dylan Carlson and Carson Kelly. Obviously, some of those with more Cardinals uh, um, blood in them than others, but it is interesting. And yeah, I think that this team is going to be good. I agree with you that they are very likely to win, but I could see the Brewers or Reds trouncing them if things go right for those teams. The Cubbies were 92 and 70 last year. They had a 144 run differential.
Yeah.
They are projected this season to be 85 and 77, and their projected run differential is 34.
Hmm.
You taking the over or the under on that, Nate?
Well, I gotta be consistent, I think, with what I've said here. I will take the over. I I don't know. These breakdowns always make me I don't even remember what I said in past episodes if I said the Cubs are the most likely to win the Central, but I will take the over based off of everything we've said today. I think unfortunately they have enough depth. I think the Bregman signing was big. I think the Cubs are going to be good this year. I think they have some questions for future years, which will work out for the Cardinals, but I think they're going to be good this year, and I'll take the over.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said. I do think the PCA thing is a huge question. I could
Yeah.
see him being the best center and fielder in baseball this year, or we covered it quite a bit last year. Like he just fell off a cliff in the second half of last season. Can he come back from that?
Yeah.
Can he make that adjustment? Can he quit swinging at everything that comes at him?
It was like he
Um,
hit 27 home runs in the first half last year and then 3 in the second half or something like that. Just like a total collapse. I might have those numbers off a little bit, but I don't think I'm off that by that much. So it was
25 in the first half, 6 in the
okay.
second half.
Yeah.
He hit 265 average in the first half and 216
Yeah.
in the second half. It really was like a bad long drop off. His
Yeah.
OPS in the first half 847, OPS in the second half 634. I mean
It's
that's
brutal.
just two different players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
But I
But
think
I think the
yeah,
floor of the and he's still a good defender, so
right.
he'll still be valuable to them on the field. But that's the sort of stuff. It's like, could they be a 90 plus win team or like a mid 80s?
I think the Cubbies will eclipse 85 wins,
Yeah.
and I think they'll do quite a bit better than their projected 34 run diff.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, let's hit a little league news. What do you want to talk about, Hambone?
Well, we got to talk about the WBC. The Venezuela wins. They're becoming the 51st state in these United States.
Oh
It's
man,
all looking up for the Venezuelan team.
so congrats to Venezuela. Great game. What an embarrassing overall experience for Team USA. Between the whole like, oh, we thought we won, so we were all hungover and played poorly, to the
Yeah.
fucking like milk toast entire vibe of the team. This is the best,
Yeah.
arguably the best baseball team that has ever been put together, and it was somehow the most boring baseball team that has ever been put together at the same time. Like the gulf from skill level to enjoyment of the game has never been wider. I felt like I mean I know when you're getting schooled by good pitching, you always look bad, but like the vibes around the team were rough. This whole like over indexing towards support the troops was rough. The every other team looking like they're having the time of their life, and our band of dudes all like looking like they could care less. Like it's just an overall disappointing thing. And I don't even care about the loss on the field. Venezuela was great. Any team can beat anybody in a single game, and Venezuela played well and they won. But I left that thing. By the end of that game, I was rooting for Venezuela, man. I was like, just let them have it. They clearly like are having more fun. The crowd is in it for them way more than it is for Team USA, and they're playing well. So just give it to them. It should have been Dominican Republic, Venezuela. That would have been a way more fun final. All right, I'm done ranting. What's your take?
I think maybe those are some interesting hot takes over this fun exhibition. I don't know about you, but when Bryce Harper hit that home run, I stood up from the couch and was clapping, and
It
I
was fun.
scared the shit out of my
I love
cats.
I love Bryce Harper.
And
Yeah.
Jeffy, who's standing right over my shoulder right now, was really not happy with how excited I was. So I thought that that was great. I do think, first off, I think that this was the best WBC that we've had. The side storyline of Italy going deep,
Yeah.
Venezuela winning for the first time. Just there was a lot of fun happening this year, and I think that the WBC has only gotten better as it's been a thing. I think that MLB, I wouldn't mind seeing it expanded. Maybe more games. I don't know what the best thing is, but I think that they're doing a great job, and I think that's everything about it is great. The fact that I have really good, interesting, fun, meaningful baseball to watch while spring training is happening, I think is great because it's getting me just
Yeah.
more amped and amped for the season. And then, yeah, I think back to kind of what you're complaining about, I think that this is probably the sign that Mark DeRosa should no longer be the manager. And I do wonder if there is some introspection on Team USA about taking this like business, militaristic, like very unfun way about going about this, thinking that it gave them an edge. I do wonder if they are sitting back today thinking maybe we could have had more fun
Yeah.
doing that. Even Team Japan, like Shohei Otani was joking. A team walked him, intentionally walked him, and he was kind of giving trouble to the dugout, saying like, are you afraid of me? And he always comes across as I think very work like, or often comes across like that. So I do think that there's probably some feelings about that. I do think that Mark DeRosa is really, when you have all stars like these, like Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge don't need coaching from Mark DeRosa, but the manager does set the tone, set the vibe. He's the one that's bringing in these weird guest speakers that I also thought was bizarre. Do you really think bringing in an ex-military member or Michael Phelps is going to make Aaron Judge play better? Like, what are we doing? That
Yeah,
makes no sense
just
to me.
that whole thing. Kyle Raleigh's wearing a shirt that is just the same text as what's on the front of a claymore. A mine, like a anti-tank
Oh, I didn't
mine. Yeah,
see that.
the whole thing was their celebration was a salute to support the troops. I'm thinking they lost, so I hope the troops are okay. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty bad. That's pretty sad. I hope they're all okay. And I know this whole thing's been going on for over a year, the prep for it. So it really had nothing to do with like current day situation and things like that. But maybe read the room a little bit. But also just I don't know. I found it all so it's like what a bare minimum like country that's what I'm looking for. Like when every other league is like we're playing for the heart and soul of our country, we're playing for the kids, we're playing for the people, we're doing it for each other, and they're all having a ton of fun, and the crowd is full of people dancing and screaming and all that, and then you've got USA saying we're doing it for the troops, and they're all being like, I'm a military man, and I don't know, the whole thing was pretty off-putting to me, but to your point at the beginning of this, very successful tournament, and like I still love the WBC. I just hope Team USA comes in the future with more of a desire to have fun with it and not like we're going to be executors.
They came off like a bunch of squares. They came off extremely uncool. And I don't know why that is. Yeah, the only thing that makes sense to me is it's Mark DeRosa.
Yeah,
it's Mark DeRosa leading that. I mean, that being said, like I don't think of Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge necessarily being cool guys. Like I don't think Paul Skeens is cool.
Yeah,
I don't like. Maybe this team was lacking some swagger.
Well,
just
yeah,
from
because
like
all the fun
the
players,
nature of the players.
Yeah, all the fun players in MLB were all on a different country's team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who is a fun Well, PCA is fun, but
Yeah.
he's probably too young to really shift the vibe of
Yeah.
a clubhouse like that. I think that the US has some fun players, but yeah, it is like there's no Wilson Contreras on the US
Yeah.
team. There's no Ronald Acuna. There's nothing like that is happening. You know, I saw Matt Holliday was in the dugout for the US, and he's probably cracking jokes, but again, he's not moving the needle as far as being serious
Yeah.
is considered. But yeah, anyways, I enjoyed it. I hope the US
Yeah.
has more fun and is more successful next year. And I enjoyed there's some really great baseball.
There was. We watched that great game. Was it between Chinese Taipei and Korea in the pool play? Like it was a really
Yeah.
good thing overall. And I'm super excited for Venezuela, which was a good team in their own right. Definitely not a favorite to win, but a really, really good team. So
I feel like people were not giving like you look like Jackson Churio was their ninth place hitter.
was
I
their
feel like
number
they're
9.
not getting enough credit for how good of a team they actually are.
I
Like,
well, I
what the
think
hell?
they were probably like 4th seed, right? Like you probably do USA, DR, Japan, then them would be my guess is where you would put
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
So it's just the star-studded nature of Team USA, the history of Team Japan, and then I mean the DR team was quite stacked as well. It was hard to
Yeah.
compare to any of those teams. But they were good. Obviously, they
Yeah,
won.
that Skeens performance against the DR was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nolan McLean did great. Like 2 runs and nearly 5 innings in that environment. Like, it was not
He did.
the pitching that was the problem. And again, the game was the game. It was a good game. I watched the whole thing and that Harper home run was a lot of fun. So anyway, I guess we'll do it again in 3 years, right? I love
2
that.
years, buddy.
What did I say? It doesn't matter. All
3.
right. We'll do it again at some indefinite time in the future. Maybe there'll be no 2027 season. We'll just do like 8 versions of the WBC.
Okay, I'll take that.
What do you think? All right.
Sounds like baseball.
Well, we've got to wrap up this episode, Hambone. So I think we should play our little game. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So for listeners who've been with us for years, you've heard us talk about this game. We do it at the beginning of the year every year, and then we check in throughout the year to see how we're doing. This is Draft Day, Heroes and Hatchlings Edition. If I remember to put in the song, shout out to associate sound producer Chris. Thank you for the awesome song. The way this works is Hambone and I are going to draft 6 total St. Louis Cardinals. 3 of them will be on the 26-man roster, and 3 of them from anywhere else. At the end of the year, whichever group of 6 has acquired the most Fangraphs WAR will win. So we've had some very close results. One year we actually tied, which was hilarious. And then last year, I think, was it I ran away with it or you ran away? One of us ran away with it.
I think you ran away with it. Yeah, it was Nolan Arenado kind of tanked me.
Right. So Hambone, I do want to throw out a pitch for you on this real quick. I think JJ Wetherholt should count as in the 26-man bucket for this purposes, because we all know he's making the roster, and I feel like it would be.
So,
do you know what I mean?
Yes, I vote we use we're recording on March 18th. We use Fangraphs roster resource, and if they are projected to be on the 26-man, meaning JJ Wetherholt and Nelson Velázquez are part of the 26-man.
Okay.
For this selection process.
Okay, I
know you're begging to get Nelson Velázquez.
How would you feel if Velázquez led the team in WAR this year? What do you think that means?
It means I'm watching a lot of some other team this year, because that has been a boring and wholly unsuccessful year.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to. How do we want to pick who goes first here? Should I roll a die or flip a coin?
Just flip a coin, Nate.
Okay. All right, hold on.
Well, you won last year. I feel like that means I should just go first.
Sure, that's fine. That's as good as any. Okay, So we can draft in any order here. You don't have to pick, your heroes or hatchlings in any order, but we typically do it in a pretty obvious order, I'd say. So, Hambone, you have the first overall pick in the heroes and hatchlings draft. Who are you going to take?
So, there's a couple of guys that are up here, but I think wanting to go with what I feel most confident in getting me the win this year, I'm going to go first overall, the St. Louis Cardinals, starting shortstop, Mason Wynn.
He's going to give you the win. That's where I thought you
I
were
think
going.
he's going to give me the win.
The win, the Mason win?
That's
all I'm going for.
We know he could play defense.
Yeah.
Hopefully he hits a little more this year and runs away with it.
I think it's a pretty clear and obvious first overall. And I had first overall, I would have done Mason Wynn as well. Highest floor. And we're still dreaming on that offensive talent. But he led the team in WAR last year, where it was near the top, just on simply defense, because he was not great offensively. Okay, so it comes to me. Do I go to the fun one? He is projected to be one of the team leaders in WAR. I think I have to, Hambone. I'm all in already.
If you don't, I will.
I'm already all in.
Yeah.
I'm taking JJ Wetherholt, second overall. I think he's coming in. I think the defense is going to be good enough, and I think he's going to hit well enough that he'll be one of those guys that, at the end of the day, didn't run away with any one stat, but contributed everywhere. And that is really good at accruing a healthy amount of WAR. I'm not expecting to win the league with this pick, but I think this is going to set me up with a solid floor, much like your Mason Wynn pick.
Yeah, two guys up the middle. Makes sense.
Yep.
I think that makes my next pick pretty obvious as well. I'm going to have to go with Ivan Herrera as my second pick. Best hitter on the team right now. Obviously, we're hoping for health. Hopefully, he gets 500 at-bats, doinking dongs all over the place, and we'll see how much he starts at catcher. Maybe that will improve specifically his F4, getting out of the DH position from time to time. But yeah, I think he's going to have a nice year for us.
Yeah, it's the DH versus catcher thing, I think, will be what really decides how he does in this department. Because DH, it's really difficult to really accrue WAR no matter how good of a hitter you are. But if he can catch, which he did today, which we love to see, there's been concerns about his knee already, which doesn't bode well for long-term catching. But he did catch today, so they're not taking him off of it yet.
We'll take it.
Yeah. All right. For me, for number 2, I'm torn. I feel like we're in this pool where a lot of guys are kind of around the same thing here. And I think, Hambone, I'm going to go with your opening day starter. I'm going with Matthew Liberatore.
We love this for you.
We talked about it last week. We're sleeping on Libby. He just came off of a solid big league season. He's looking good in spring. He's got a high upside. He's got a pedigree. He's got a wide open runway to 32 starts. He doesn't need to improve that much to accrue a pretty good amount of WAR. Is there a pitcher with a higher ceiling? Yes. But I think there's more.
Is he made of glass?
Yes, exactly. So I will take what I think is the best shot at having a good outcome from a WAR perspective in 2026, Matt Liberatore.
All right. Well, that makes my pick pretty easy. I think I was probably going to go Libby if you didn't take him. But that makes me want to go back to a position player. Alec Burleson, you look under the hood, which I was doing over the past couple of weeks. There's a lot of things to like about the way he hits the ball, how hard he swings, his launch angle, sweet spot, all that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Burley takes another step forward. He is our first baseman, after all. So, he's the guy.
And he might help from being an average first baseman, not suffering negative WAR in the outfield like he certainly did last year. Playing a position.
That is a boon, yes.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable pick. I wrestled with him and the other starter and before making my last choice. So it comes to me to take the last MLB or 26 man.
How brave are you going to be, Nate?
I know. I've got a couple options here. I guess I could just say them out loud. I'm still thinking Dustin May. Do I just go 2 pitchers and hope that one of them really runs away with it? But I'm also, there's another guy with a high defensive floor on this team that was one of the team leaders in F4 last year, despite not hitting the ball at all. And that is a choice that I'm leaning towards because everyone else, I mean, Gorman, Walker, Velázquez, Pages, like, they have some upside, but they're also my most likely to give me a negative number in this department. But I feel like Victor Scott has that floor that I'm looking for. And I think I'm going to go with Victor Scott too.
All right. I like it. I think that's a smart move. I maybe would have gone Dustin May.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the zeros and the negatives here, but if Dustin May ends up leading the team in F4 a la a Sonny Gray from last year, none of us are going to be too upset about it. But
no.
All right, we're into the minors section.
Okay, I feel pretty good about this pick. We've already talked about him on this episode. But my first minor league pick, he just got demoted. Give me Dickie Fitz.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come up and start some games, and I think he's going to look pretty nice.
Yeah, if I had the first overall, I think this is who I go as well. Despite him starting at minors, I think he will pitch at the major league level and probably a lot this year. And
yeah.
Okay. I've been going conservative this whole time, Hambone.
Damn it.
Give me Josh Baez.
What you going to do? Damn it.
Give me Josh Baez.
That was going to be my next pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go Josh Baez. I don't
100% what I was going to do.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen anytime soon, but we know the path is clear, and we saw him in spring. Personally, we saw him hit 2 bombs. I understand why he's not breaking camp with the team, but we're both huge fans. So I'll go with him.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go conservative on this next pick because I want a guy who I think is going to actually be in the big leagues at some point. So I'm going to go with Thomas Saggese.
Yeah, he will.
He'll be up at some point.
He will.
And he'll probably be decent.
He will. Yeah, it's a good pick. I think it's probably capped as far as ceiling goes, but he's probably won't hurt you any. And in years past on this game, we've had a number of people who've just never even played at the MLB level in this, and you're certainly locking in some plate appearances, I think, with that pick.
He will get plate appearances. That is for sure.
Let's see. I'm checking to see if my guy is considered an opening day, and I don't think he is. So, Hambone, I think this is the year of the catcher transition. I think Jimmy Crooks is going to end up.
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah. Jimmy Crooks, one way, I think by the end of the season, we have a really good chance at Jimmy Crooks being the starting catcher. And with his defense, and I think he can hit. He obviously looked terrible last year, but is a very small cup of coffee. I still think he is very likely in the long-term plans for catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I think we're going to see that this year. So I will go with Jimmy Crooks. You've got one more hatchling to select.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know who to pick. I don't. Yeah. Jimmy Crooks was next on my list. That's who I was feeling good about. So now I'm just really kind of taking a shot in the dark of who I think is going to come up and affect the big league roster. And I think I'm going to go with Tink Hence. I think he's going to get called up at some point. I think he's going to be in the bullpen. And I think he's going to be pretty damn good. So I'm going to go Tink Hence. He's going to make the jump in the bullpen at some point this summer, and it'll be a lot of fun.
It's a fun pick. I think I have picked Tinkins 2 years in a row in this game, so you're probably
Yeah.
going to get him the year he finally debuts for the Cardinals. So I hope that this one works out great for you. Obviously, we're all huge fans.
Me too.
And there's a path to the bullpen for him. I wish they would still keep him as a starter, but it is what it is. I get it. All right, I'm going to follow in your footsteps to some degree here, and I think Hambone, we saw it in person in at the Pittsburgh Stadium. I think there's another pitcher down there who will right the ship, put together a strong first part of 2026, and make his big league debut this year. That is Quinn Matthews.
Wow. I hope you are right. I definitely think he'll be on the big league roster. I don't know where he is as far as when is he getting the lever pulled for starts? I don't know that right now.
It'll be a competition. I think if he's crushing it down at AAA and any of the many guys that we're not comfortable with right now in the starting in the rotation, if Matthews is the top of the pile, he'll get the first crack. I think we all think it's going to be Fitz.
Back to the pile.
I think Fitz will get the first crack. But I don't know. I think all these guys are going to get up there at some point this year.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of guys on the big league roster this year.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it. That was our Heroes and Hatchlings.
I am.
How you feeling about? Well, I guess
I'm worried about nobody taking Nootbaar.
Yeah. Let me recap the teams. Hambone ends up with Mason Wynn, Ivan Herrera, Alec Burleson, Dick Fitz, Thomas DeJacy, and Tink Hence. I end up with JJ Wetherholt, Matthew Libertor, Victor Scott, Josh Baez, Jimmy Crooks, and Quinn Matthews. Hambone, I feel like mine has the highest ceiling, but has the most likely outcome of accruing 3 total WAR together. And you have the highest floor, but has the lower ceiling. So we'll see. We'll track it all year, see where we were right, where we were wrong. If you think we are stupid and made a bad choice, let Ben know. You can email him. You can figure out his email address, or you can get at us on all the different social medias. Find access to all of that at talkingaboutbirds.com. That's going to do it for this week's episode. So we'll be back next week with C70 for our opening day episode. Hambone, we did it.
We did it.
We're here.
Wow.
And I hope you all have a wonderful week. And until next week, go Cardinals.
Go Cardinals.